Have you noticed that some people simply can't keep money, no matter how much they work, save, or push themselves? While others, even without making much noise, seem to have a natural, fluid, even light relationship with prosperity? This has nothing to do with luck. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with external opportunities. It has everything to do with self-esteem. Because money, and no one teaches us this, does not go where it's needed. Money goes where it is respected. And the first kind of respect money demands is not financial, it's emotional. When you don't respect yourself, you tolerate environments that drain your energy. You accept people who diminish you. You shrink yourself to fit in. You treat yourself like the last one in line. You self-sabotage. You abandon yourself. You make yourself small so you won't inconvenience anyone. And money feels that. Because money is energy, and the energy of money vibrates at the same frequency as your self-esteem. A person who loves themselves doesn't spend to impress. They invest to grow. They don't put themselves in toxic places. They don't chase validation. They don't settle for crumbs. They don't treat themselves as less than they are. And that's why prosperity flows to them. Not because they need it, but because they are aligned with the type of energy money recognizes as safe. In the next few minutes, you're about to understand something that can change your financial life more than any spreadsheet, course, or strategy. The way you treat yourself determines how much money trusts you. If you've always felt inferior, inadequate, guilty, or small, if you've always felt that you don't deserve that much, if you've always felt like you need to prove your worth all the time, then this video is exactly what you needed to hear, because before you change your bank account, you must change the way you see yourself. Let's begin. If there's one thing in common among all people who transformed their lives, whether in money, love, self-esteem, career, or purpose, it's this: the ability to see themselves living what they desire before it exists in the physical world. It sounds too simple, even too mystical. But this is exactly where true manifestation begins. In the inner image you sustain, not in the external reality you observe. The truth is, your life is always responding to what you see internally. And when you understand this, you stop trying to change the world with your hands and begin changing the world with your vibration. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a kind of antenna. It sends and receives frequencies all the time, even when you're not aware. This antenna never turns off. It is constantly picking up signals and projecting signals that shape your decisions, emotions, posture, and even what you believe you deserve. That's why the core thesis of this first part is so powerful. If you want to attract what you desire, you need to see yourself already having it. This is not a motivational mantra. It's not a placebo. It's not magical thinking. It is the recognition that everything begins inside, and your external life is simply the result of your internal state. When you begin to see yourself as someone who has already achieved what you want, something deep happens. Your body, your brain, and your emotions begin to operate on a different vibration. That vibration determines your actions, and your actions determine your results. But there's more. There is a detail that almost no one notices, one that separates true manifestors from those who try but never see change. Transformation only happens when you don't just imagine, but feel. Visualization without emotion is fantasy. Visualization with emotion is vibration. Emotion is the fuel that tells your body, this is real. That's why, when you see yourself with what you desire, with conviction, sensations, and inner presence, your mind begins to operate as if that reality is already being built. And here we enter another essential key. The energy of money vibrates at the same frequency as self-love. Many people try to attract wealth, yet treat themselves in ways they would never accept from a stranger. Constantly judging themselves, staying in environments that drain them, accepting emotional crumbs, chasing people, trying to prove their worth every minute, spending to impress rather than evolve, shrinking to fit into the wrong places, and then they don't understand why money doesn't show up. But think with me. If you don't respect yourself, why would the energy of money, an extension of value, expansion, and respect, stay in your life? Money does not follow need. Money follows vibration. Contrary to what we were taught, money does not go where it is urgent or needed. If that were true, the most financially desperate people would be millionaires. Money goes where it is respected. And there's a massive difference between needing and respecting. Those who desperately need money vibrate lack, fear, urgency, panic, scarcity. Those who respect money vibrate clarity, responsibility, openness, care, worthiness. And here comes a delicate but transformative point. Lack of self-love creates invisible financial leaks. Notice the pattern. People who don't love themselves accept low-paying jobs, draining relationships, exploitative friendships, sabotaging habits, destructive inner talk. And all of this vibrates in the opposite direction of money. You don't prosper because you work a lot. You prosper because your internal vibration is coherent with prosperity. Those who love themselves don't tolerate toxic environments, don't chase those who don't value them, don't spend to impress, don't buy to fill emotional emptiness, don't live trying to prove something, don't negotiate their peace, don't doubt their worth. Invest in themselves because they know it multiplies, and these people naturally tend to prosper, not because they are special, but because they vibrate expansion, not contraction. That's why spiritual, psychological, and even financial teachings agree on one point. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you believe is possible for you. If your body vibrates, I don't deserve, your results vibrate, you don't deserve. But when you begin to see yourself as someone who does deserve, as someone who is already rising, as someone aligned with abundance, your body changes, your energy changes, your presence changes, and the world responds. Now let's go deeper into visualization. Most people visualize incorrectly. They imagine what they want as if watching it from a distance, like a movie. But true visualization is immersive. It involves sensations, breathing, posture, emotion, thought, internal language, even the rhythm of your heartbeat. It's almost like using a virtual reality headset inside your own mind. Think of someone who wants to make more money, but repeatedly sees themselves surrounded by bills, fear of the future, and a sense of insufficiency. This person can repeat affirmations, but their body is vibrating scarcity. Their cells are vibrating threat. Their emotions are vibrating survival, and no survival vibration creates abundance. When the brain is in threat mode, it doesn't think about expansion. It thinks about avoiding the next disaster. That's why true visualization is emotional reprogramming. It's a way of telling your body, we are safe, we are advancing, we deserve this. Science backs this. When you imagine something with sensory detail, smell, sound, texture, temperature, body expression, the brain activates the same regions that would activate if the event were actually happening. It cannot tell the difference between inner and outer reality. Meaning, when you see yourself with what you want correctly, your brain begins to operate as if it is already available. And this changes everything. You start noticing opportunities you previously ignored. You start saying no to everything that doesn't match your future. You move with more confidence, you make better decisions, and most importantly, you begin to act like someone who already is what they want to become, not like someone desperately trying to get there. Your body feels the difference. Your vibration feels the difference. The universe feels the difference. And here's the most beautiful point. Visualization is not about creating something that doesn't exist. It's about recognizing something inside you that is ready to be expressed. The future you desire already exists in your imagination, and nothing inside you is impossible outside you. Imagination is the preview of what you're ready to live. Every person who transformed their life, everyone, first saw themselves where they wanted to be, long before any physical evidence. They held the vibration. They maintained the inner image even when their outer results were terrible. They connected with a higher, stronger, more confident, more deserving version of themselves. And that higher self guided their steps. Because that's how life changes. From the inside out. From vibration to action. From inner image to outer result. And here's what almost nobody understands. Visualization doesn't work when you do it to see if it works. It works when you do it because you've already decided who you will be. That decision vibrates. It creates an energetic signature. it shapes your presence. And when your presence changes, everything changes. Before finishing this part, here's a sentence that summarizes the essence of true visualization. You don't visualize to create the future. You visualize to become compatible with the future that's already yours. Now let's talk about money from a deeper perspective. The biggest mindset shift anyone can have about money is understanding that money is not an object, it's not a piece of paper, it's not a number in your bank account, and it's definitely not a prize some people win while others just have bad luck. Money is, above all, an idea. And like every idea, it is born on an energetic level before manifesting in the physical world. People who never understood this spend their whole lives fighting money as if it were an enemy, an obstacle, or something scarce that must be chased. But those who understand this premise realize that money is simply organized energy. And organized energy responds to vibration, intention, focus, and respect. To build this understanding, think about this. Before money existed, there was wood. The wood was turned into paper. The paper was given ink. The ink formed numbers, symbols, and patterns. And suddenly, something that used to be just a tree now represented value, trade, safety, and access. But neither the wood, the paper, nor the ink is money by nature. They became money because society assigned meaning to that matter. And this is crucial. Money is not the paper, not the metal, not the number. Money is the meaning. Money is a vibrational idea that gained physical form to facilitate exchange. It is a human construction, a collective agreement, a physical manifestation of something that began in the mind. This means, to handle money wisely, prosperously, and fluidly, you must learn to handle it where it truly exists, on the level of energy. And here comes the major shift. Money is energy, and energy never stands still. It must circulate. Many people block prosperity because they think the secret is to hold everything, freeze everything, save everything so they don't lose. But trapped energy stagnates, and stagnated energy stops flowing, and everything that stops flowing dies. Stagnant water rots. Stagnant air suffocates. Stagnant energy collapses. And money is no different. When you hold on to money out of fear, you are sending the universe exactly this vibration. I'm afraid of losing it. And when you vibrate fear, you attract more situations that confirm that feeling. That's why so many people who hoard everything compulsively end up losing. Either an unexpected expense shows up, or the money loses value, or life finds a way to force that energy to circulate. It's not punishment, it's vibrational physics. Energy needs to flow, but it's important to understand a sensitive point. Circulating money does not mean spending impulsively to relieve emotional anxiety. That's not circulation. That's leakage. Spending to impress, to validate your ego, to fill a void, to escape pain, is not energy flowing. It's energy being drained. And that's why this part of the teaching brings an essential distinction. Healthy circulation is not the same as irresponsible spending. Healthy circulation is when money comes in through alignment, stays through wisdom, grows through intelligence, circulates through purpose, returns through vibration. And there is another important sentence in this stage. Those who are afraid to spend accumulate and freeze energy. And ironically, freezing energy is the fastest way to lose it. Look at the paradox. Those who try to hold on to everything out of fear, lose. Those who spend everything unconsciously, lose. Those who let money circulate with respect, clarity, and intention, receive more. That's why a vibrational understanding of money requires emotional maturity. You need to learn to notice where the impulse comes from when you deal with money. Most of the time, people are not spending money. They're spending self-esteem. They don't invest out of strategy. They invest out of desperation. They don't save out of clarity. They save out of panic. They don't let money flow. They let fear take over. And when fear is in charge, the vibration cracks. But here comes a very interesting point connected to your outline reference. Even with the need for circulation, there is a smart principle for young people, especially in their 20s. Young people should save and invest most of their money, but not hoard it out of fear. Why? Because at this stage of life, a person is building their identity, their discipline, their financial awareness, their vibrational pattern, and their ability to manage energy. Saving out of strategy is wisdom. Saving out of panic is scarcity, and the universe knows the difference. Frequencies don't lie. The person who saves with clarity vibrates expansion. The person who saves with fear vibrates contraction, and expansion attracts more expansion. Contraction attracts more contraction. And here we arrive at the deepest point of this part. Everything begins at the level of inner vision. To manifest money, you must become someone who thinks of money as energy, not as an object. When you see money only as paper, you spend your life chasing it. When you see money as energy, you spend your life creating openings for it to circulate. All real prosperity begins in the imagination. That's where you project the new life, as the outline describes. And this is a powerful metaphor. Visualizing a new life is not fantasy. It's what waters the seeds of your future. Just like a gardener waters a seed every day before seeing any sign of life, you also need to water your inner vision consistently, even when the external world is not showing results yet. And here's the hard truth. Most people give up exactly at this point. Why? Because they start looking for external evidence too soon. They want to plant today and harvest tomorrow. They want to affirm today and receive next week. They want to meditate today and see money in their account by the end of the month. But creating a new life is like changing the direction of a ship. It doesn't happen all at once. The vibration needs to stabilize. Beliefs need to be realigned. The body needs to learn how to feel safe in a new pattern. The mind needs to stop using the old self as a reference. Manifestation requires consistency, not urgency. It requires presence, not anxiety. It requires trust, not constant vigilance. Those who understand this prosper. Those who don't abandon the process before the result appears and spend their lives saying, "This doesn't work." But it does work. It just doesn't work at the speed of desperation. Now, to close part 2, I want to leave you with the strongest metaphor of this stage. Imagine your financial life as a field. Money is the seed. You are the gardener. Vibration is the soil. Visualization is the water. Action is the sunlight. And time is the natural cycle. If you plant and then dig up the seed every day to check if it's growing, it dies. If you plant it, water it with faith, adjust the soil, and trust the cycle, it flourishes. Money works exactly the same way. You don't create wealth by chasing it. You create wealth by cultivating the right vibration so it can grow where you are. There's a sentence that sounds simple, but it changes the destiny of anyone who truly understands it. If you work hard on your job, you make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, you make a fortune. The first time someone hears this, it almost sounds like an exaggeration. How could working on myself bring more results than working hard? How is it possible that inner transformation is more powerful than outer effort? But when you look at the lives of people who have deeply prospered, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you notice a pattern. They didn't become wealthy because of the work itself. They became wealthy because of the person they became while doing the work. And that changes everything. Work, as important as it is only the surface. The mind behind the work is the root. And you only harvest fortunes when you take care of the root. Most people spend their lives trying to force life to change from the outside in. They work more hours, take on more roles, pile on more tasks, overload themselves, get tired, get stressed, but remain the same version of themselves they've always been. And if you keep being the same person, you keep making the same decisions, having the same reactions, feeling the same fears, repeating the same patterns, there is no new future with the same old self. And that's why chasing money never works. Because chasing money is trying to compensate him with effort for a lack of inner alignment. It's like pushing a car with the engine off. You might move it a little, but you won't get far. Now, when the internal engine is on, when your vibration is aligned, when you're becoming someone more aware, disciplined, confident, and emotionally stable, then the car moves on its own. Success flows not because you're chasing it, but because you're attracting it. Here's another essential phrase. Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. And that phrase describes a universal principle. Your outer life grows only to the level of your inner life, never above it. If you don't expand internally, your results won't expand externally. If your beliefs remain small, your opportunities remain small. If your vision stays limited, your destiny stays limited. The truth is that all lasting success is built on an invisible foundation. 1. Mindset. 2. Self-awareness. 3. Emotional skill. 4. Inner discipline. 5. Strengthened identity. 6. Clarity and vibrational alignment. And when these don't exist, a person may even make money, but loses it. They may rise, but fall. They may achieve, but can't sustain it. That's why so many people who get rich quickly go right back to where they started. Why so many lottery winners emotionally collapse and lose everything in a few years. Why so many people who start well in business freeze after their first success. It's not bad luck, it's lack of personal development. Your income rises only to the level your mind can sustain. This is one of the most real, consistent, and ignored principles of human prosperity. And it explains something fundamental. Money is not the problem. Mindset is. Many people believe money is the solution, yet they keep repeating choices that push prosperity away. Fear of risk, procrastination, short-term focus, emotional reactivity, comparison, self-sabotage, lack of clarity, resistance to change, toxic environments, lack of vibrational discipline, limiting beliefs about deserving. And as long as these internal roots stay intact, no financial change will be stable. You can make money without a money mindset, but you cannot keep money without a money mindset. And here comes an extremely important part of this topic. Without a financial mindset, no technique works. This includes investing in stocks, trading options, entrepreneurship, marketing, negotiating, studying business, learning sales. You can master the technique. But without mindset, you lack discipline to wait, emotional intelligence to avoid impulsive actions, clarity to evaluate risk, consistency to continue, patience to harvest, self-confidence to grow, self-control to avoid wasting, identity to see yourself as worthy. And anything that exists without roots falls. That's why so many people enter the financial market and lose everything. Not because the market is bad, but because they were not emotionally aligned to handle that kind of energy. It's why so many brilliant entrepreneurs go bankrupt. Not because the idea was bad, but because they were emotionally broken. It's why so many good people stay trapped in jobs that don't reflect their value. Not because they don't deserve more, but because internally they don't believe they can achieve more. Prosperity is an inner game before it is an outer game. Now let's go to something essential. Why is working on yourself so exponential? Because when you work on yourself, you change. Your decisions, your presence, your vibration, your clarity, your self-confidence, your beliefs, your boundaries, your priorities, your emotional patterns, your automatic behaviors. And when you change these, your life inevitably changes. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw problems. You start creating solutions instead of complaining. You start acting with calm instead of urgency. You start feeling deserving instead of guilty. You start respecting money instead of fearing it. You start positioning yourself better. You start saying more no to what weakens you, and start saying yes to what expands you. This alignment creates a powerful phenomenon. You begin to attract what matches your new vibration, new people, new environments, new ideas, new opportunities, new paths, smarter decisions, more aligned proposals, more mature responses, more strategic moves. And all of this comes not because the world changed, but because you changed. Working on yourself is the most efficient way to shape the universe around you. Because the universe responds to your internal state, not your external effort. But there is something even deeper. When you shift internally, you stop being guided by fear and start being guided by purpose. And when that happens, your energy rises, your procrastination falls, your focus increases, your clarity intensifies, your courage grows, your intuition awakens, your potential emerges. A person who works on themselves becomes magnetic. They stop chasing and start attracting. They stop reacting and start creating. They stop surviving and start thriving. Inner work is the only real bridge to outer success. And here is the most important sentence of this entire section. No technique works until you work. And once you work, any technique works. A misaligned person can have access to the best strategies, courses, and mentors, and still not prosper. An aligned person can have just 1% of that, and prosper beyond expectations, because it's not the method. It's the level of consciousness using the method. Working on yourself is developing that level. It's expanding your perceptual range. It's unlocking your emotional valves. It's strengthening your identity. It's rewriting your self-concept. It's aligning your energetic field. It's becoming someone whose inner state can sustain abundance. And when you reach that point, you understand, work does not create wealth. The inner worker creates wealth. Your expanded, aligned, conscious, disciplined, high-vibration self. External work is only the physical expression of something that was born inside. Prosperity is not the result of excessive effort. Prosperity is the result of deep alignment. And this alignment only begins when you decide, I will work harder on myself than on my job. Because the you build today defines the destiny you will live tomorrow. Here is the full natural, fluent American English translation, preserving the depth, clarity, and spiritual scientific tone of the original. If there is one point where spirituality, neuroscience, philosophy, and prosperity intersect, that point is identity. Because no matter what you want to achieve, you will never have anything above what you believe yourself to be. And that is the deep essence of this section. Everything you attach to I am becomes true in your world, not because it's magic, not because it's superstition, but because I am is the structure of your identity, and identity is the central code that organizes your vibration, your decisions, your emotions, and, consequently, your results. Most people don't realize they are trapped in old versions of themselves, creating every day a reality limited by internal narratives that no longer make sense. When someone repeatedly says, I am unlucky, I'm terrible with money, I'm a mess, I'm insecure, I'm stupid, I'm poor, I'm incapable, I'm slow, I'm the kind of person who never succeeds. They are not just describing a problem, they are defining who they are vibrationally, and the universe and the brain can only respond to that frequency. Here is the truth almost no one understands. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are. You may want wealth, but if you see yourself as poor, vibrate like someone poor, act like someone poor, think like someone poor, no strategy will work. Because everything in your life will try to maintain coherence with your current identity. You may want success, but if you see yourself as someone who wasn't born for that, you sabotage yourself. You may want love, but if your identity says you are hard to love, you hide. You may want abundance, but if your I am says, I don't deserve it, you repel it. Nothing, absolutely nothing, manifests above the level of your identity. That's why before talking about purpose, prosperity, money, or success, we must talk about who you are choosing to be. And here comes an essential part of the outline: money mindset, plus money-making skill. A wealthy person. Many people want to jump straight to the skill of making money, but completely ignore the mindset. And without mindset, no skill holds. Think of it this way: skill is the tool. Mindset is the hand that holds the tool. If the hand is shaking, anxious, insecure, inconsistent, sabotaged, the tool doesn't work, no matter how good it is. That explains why so many people study, and still don't prosper. Because it's useless to learn how to make money if you don't learn how to become someone who can hold money. And this leads us to the second point of this section. Money is a consequence of purpose, not effort. You can chase money for years. You can work hard, pull all-nighters, take on multiple roles, try to be as productive as possible, and still not feel prosperous. Why? Because you put money before who you are. And when you put money before purpose, you enter a reversed vibration. Money is a byproduct. It's a reflection. It's a consequence of the energy you bring into the world. When you work for money, the vibration is scarcity. When you work for purpose, the vibration is expansion, and everything that vibrates expansion attracts prosperity. People who truly prosper are not chasing money. They are chasing impact, evolution, mastery, inner expression. Money comes as an echo, not as the goal. And that's why the advice for young people mentioned in the video is so powerful. Take money out of the equation. Focus on becoming absurdly good at something. Because when you become exceptional, when you master a skill, when you become a reference, when you offer something unique, when you align with your purpose, money has no choice. It comes. And it comes naturally, spontaneously, fluidly, because now you're not someone who wants money. You're someone who has value. And value, when expressed with purpose, always returns as prosperity. Now let's move to the deepest part of this section. I am money. To some people, this phrase may sound arrogant or absurd, but its real meaning is profoundly spiritual and deeply true. Money is simply an energy that responds to your internal state. If you become someone who vibrates value, expansion, purpose, worthiness, and presence, you naturally become compatible with the energy of money. I am money doesn't mean I am made of money. It means I vibrate what money vibrates. And money vibrates. Circulation, expansion, clarity, exchange, value, flow, growth, confidence, freedom. When you vibrate all of this, you literally become an antenna that attracts financial energy. And in the same way, if you vibrate fear, if you vibrate doubt, if you vibrate scarcity, if you vibrate insecurity, if you vibrate I don't deserve, if you vibrate a broken self-image, if you vibrate emotional disorder, if you vibrate internal chaos, you become incompatible with the energy of money. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how much you study. It doesn't matter how much you try. Money only remains where there is vibrational congruence. And this is the foundation of I am. Everything you attach to I am, the universe returns to you as experience. If you say, I am weak, the universe delivers weakness. I am incapable. The universe confirms incapacity. I am bad with money. Life creates situations that reaffirm that. But if you say, I am strong, I am capable, I am intelligent, I am worthy, I am prosperous, I am abundant, your body begins to vibrate that identity, and with time, your physical reality reorganizes itself to match it, not because it's magic, but because it's coherence. You can only live what you can be. Identity is destiny. You attract what confirms who you believe yourself to be. When you change your I am, you change your vibrational field. When you change your field, you change your behavior. When you change your behavior, you change your path. When you change your path, you change your results. All lasting transformation begins with identity. So the most important question you can ask yourself is, who do I need to be to live the life I want to have? And that question puts you in the right place. Not in the place of need, not in the place of urgency, not in the place of scarcity, but in the place of alignment. Because to live a life of abundance, you don't need to work harder. You need to become someone who vibrates abundance. To experience success, you don't need to chase success. You need to become someone who attracts success. To live prosperity, you don't need to run after money. You need to become someone who vibrates value. To live with purpose, you don't need to discover some mystical mission. You need to become someone who moves with intention. The key is always identity, always the I am. Because everything you attach to I am, the universe attaches to your life. If there is one aspect of manifestation that most people understand only halfway, and therefore never get results, it's the relationship between what you think, what you speak, and what you attract. Many people believe it's enough to think positive, or repeat affirmations, or visualize outcomes. But manifestation is not a mental trick. It is the coherence between mind, emotion, vibration, intention, and language. And everything begins with one simple, powerful principle. You don't tell the universe how it's going to happen. You only tell it what you desire. The rest is vibration. Human anxiety tries to control everything. The mind wants to understand the step-by-step, predict every move, be absolutely certain before acting. But life doesn't work like that. The universe doesn't respond to your logical plan. It responds to your vibrational state. That's why so many people block their own desires, because while they're asking for something, they're vibrating the opposite. They want abundance, but vibrate fear. They want success, but vibrate insecurity. They want love, but vibrate rejection. They want peace, but vibrate chaos. They want clarity, but vibrate doubt. They want prosperity, but vibrate need. And the universe does not deliver what you want. It delivers what you vibrate. This brings us to the central point of this section. Money is a reflection of the energy you live in, not of what you say on the surface. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. And the vibration you maintain daily, not the one you pretend to have for a few minutes during a meditation, is what determines your results. To understand this deeply, let's look at the classic contrast between the rich and the poor. Rich people think in terms of wealth. Poor people think in terms of lack. This sentence, although uncomfortable for some, reveals a vibrational truth much deeper than it seems. Wealthy, or rather prosperous people think in terms of opportunity, growth, abundance, possibilities, expansion, value, strategy, solutions, building, partnerships, long-term vision. This creates a vibration of openness. Openness creates movement. Movement creates expansion. And expansion creates prosperity. People trapped in scarcity think in terms of lack, risk, fear, loss, limitation, shame, injustice, insufficiency, survival, urgency. What if everything goes wrong? And that vibration shuts energy down. It shuts perception. It shuts creativity. It shuts intuition. It shuts the ability to recognize opportunity. A mind living in scarcity does not attract poverty because it deserves less, but because it is energetically blocked. A brain in a state of threat sees only two options: fight or flight. It cannot imagine creative solutions, intelligent paths, or innovative ideas. That's why the vibration of wealth does not come from money itself. It comes from the mindset that comes before money. And this mindset is expressed through patterns of thought and speech. Your mind follows the direction of your inner conversation. Everything begins with what you think. But what you think is influenced by your beliefs, your fears, your references, your past, your environment, and, most importantly, your inner dialogue. The question you must ask is, what do you say to yourself when no one is listening? Because that is the speech that truly shapes your vibration. If someone wakes up saying, "God, not this again. I'm never getting out of this situation. My job is awful. I'm tired of life. Everything goes wrong for me. I'm unlucky with money." What is this person doing? Reinforcing vibrational patterns of scarcity, limitation, and suffering. And their vibration continues attracting situations that match that speech. Compare this with someone who wakes up thinking, "I'm making progress, even if slowly. Today I could be positively surprised. I'm becoming a better person. I'm capable of finding solutions. I can learn something new today. I'm creating my reality little by little." Notice how the emotional field is completely different. Emotions are vibration. Vibration attracts experiences. Experiences reinforce identity. Identity shapes beliefs. Beliefs shape thoughts. Thoughts shape speech. Speech shapes vibration. It's a cycle. And you only change your life when you change the internal cycle. People who are emotionally, mentally, and energetically disorganized tend to live in environments equally disorganized. Chaotic relationships, out-of-control finances, impulsive decisions, lack of direction, procrastination, low energy, scattered focus. This is not a coincidence. It is vibrational coherence. And this brings us to one of the most important points of this part. Successful people know where they want to go. Unsuccessful people only know where they don't want to return. The vibrational difference between these two sentences is enormous. The first vibrates purpose. The second vibrates fear. And fear creates exactly what the person is trying to avoid. When you try to run away from a destiny, your vibration stays anchored in it. When you try to create a destiny, your vibration connects to something new. And that difference is what separates growth from repetition. What you speak creates. There is no sentence more true than this. Your words are vibrational prophecies. When you say, "I'm never going to be rich," you're signing a vibrational contract. It's like pressing confirm on your own negative prophecy. When you say, "I will be rich one day," you create a vibrational opening. You're not lying, you're allowing. Life works like that. And there is a dangerous, yet extremely common phenomenon called the How Horrible Club. This club is made up of conversations where everyone complains, everyone plays the victim, everyone reinforces scarcity, everyone speaks badly about life, everyone competes to see who suffers the most. And what happens to those who participate in this club? They vibrate collective scarcity. And collective scarcity creates collective outcomes: lack, problems, heaviness, confusion, chaos. This is the group that vibrates. Let me prove to you that my life is worse than yours. And people who engage in these conversations don't realize they are training their mind to remain in suffering. You always become what you talk about. And when your conversation is small, your vibration is small. When your conversation is big, your vibration expands. Speech shapes vibration. Vibration shapes reality. You don't attract what you think once. You attract what you think repeatedly. Manifestation doesn't respond to momentary intensity. It responds to continuous frequency. It doesn't matter if, for 3 minutes, you think about prosperity. If the other 23 hours of your day you vibrate fear, guilt, comparison, anxiety, shame, a sense of unworthiness, doubt, pessimism, lack, then that is what you are broadcasting. Thoughts become vibration. Vibration becomes an energetic field. Energetic fields become reality. What are you emitting when no one is watching? Because that is your true vibration. That is the vibration that shapes your destiny. And that is the vibration that explains why some people prosper quickly, prosper slowly, stay stagnant, or sink. What a person can vibrate, they can create. What they can't vibrate, they can't sustain. And that's why working on thoughts, emotions, and speech is not optional. It's mandatory for anyone who wants to manifest a different life. You don't need to think perfectly. You need to think consciously. You don't need to speak perfectly. You need to speak in alignment. You don't need to vibrate high 100% of the time. You need to vibrate coherence. Life is not about vibrational perfection. It's about vibrational consistency. And you develop that by mastering your thoughts, your words, your intention, your focus, your energy. When you change what you think, you change what you say. When you change what you say, you change what you vibrate. When you change what you vibrate, you change what you attract. When you change what you attract, you change what you live. Everything starts inside, always inside. There comes a point in the transformation journey when a person finally realizes that thinking positive is not enough, repeating affirmations is not enough, consuming motivational content is not enough. True manifestation begins when you learn to feel what you desire, not just desire it. And this is the foundation of all deep visualization. You must trick your body into believing the future is happening now. The mind is extremely powerful, but the body is even more honest. Your body vibrates all the time, and the body's vibration is the signal the universe reads. When you can involve your senses in the visualization, the smell, the light, the environment, the touch, the sound, your posture, you are no longer imagining a future. You are living that future internally. Neuroscience shows that when you visualize with sensory intensity, the brain activates the same regions that would be activated if the event were happening in the physical world. Meaning, your mind cannot distinguish imagination from reality, and if your body feels it as real, the vibration becomes real. That's why people transform their lives not when they rationally believe, but when they emotionally feel that something is possible. Feeling is the language of deep belief. Belief starts the process. Vibration moves the process. Consistency completes the process. And this consistency leads to a fascinating phenomenon: the creation of your first success pattern. There is a story told by a wise millionaire who studied successful people for decades. He said the first major success is the most important of all, not because of the money, but because it creates a subconscious model. As soon as you experience your first significant win, no matter the size, your mind records, "I am capable. This is possible for me." And then it starts seeking paths that repeat that pattern. From that point forward, success stops being a hypothesis and becomes an identity. But that identity only holds when you become vibrationally compatible with what you desire. That's why so many people who win the lottery lose everything shortly after. Not because they are incompetent, but because they never became internally the person who lives that reality. The universe does not give wealth to someone who vibrates scarcity. And this is where the law of resonance comes in. You don't attract what you want. You attract what matches who you are. This explains your entire life. It explains why you repeat patterns. It explains why certain opportunities never appeared to you. It explains why you always attract a certain type of person. It explains why you get stuck at certain financial levels. It explains why, even wanting something desperately, you cannot reach it. The law of resonance says the universe responds to your energetic state, not your intellectual desire. You can want love, but if you vibrate abandonment, you attract abandonment. You can want abundance, but if you vibrate fear, you attract more reasons to fear. You can want self-esteem, but if you vibrate inadequacy, you attract humiliation. You can want money, but if you vibrate "I don't deserve," the money slips away. And the most impressive part is, you can change this vibration with questions. Questions are a way to hack the subconscious. Instead of saying, "I am prosperous," you can ask, "Why am I becoming more confident every day? Why am I attracting such aligned opportunities? Why is my mind so clear lately? Why am I so disciplined recently? Why is my life flowing better? Why do I vibrate abundance with so much ease?" These questions make the subconscious search for answers that match the desired vibration. You trick your mind into believing you already are the person you want to become. Deep visualization, elevated questions, vibrational consistency, a powerful phenomenon, the feeling that life is finally flowing, and that flow attracts people who vibrate like you. That's why people say, your vibe attracts your tribe. Have you noticed that when you're doing well, interesting people appear? Ideas arrive faster. Opportunities begin to appear seemingly out of nowhere. Life feels lighter. You feel guided. But when you're not well, the opposite happens. You attract situations that accelerate your inner chaos. Not because it's punishment, but because low vibration attracts low vibration. Vibration is like an emotional radio signal. If you broadcast deep sadness, you attract people and situations that reinforce that sadness. If you broadcast strength, you attract growth. If you broadcast clarity, you attract direction. If you broadcast confusion, you attract confusion. And this is where one of the most powerful teachings of all comes in. The intensity of your desire determines your capacity to achieve it. There's an ancient story about Socrates. A young man approached him, asking for wisdom. Socrates took him to the sea, pushed his head under the water, and held it there while the young man struggled. When he finally released him, he asked, "What did you want most while you were down there?" The young man gasped, "Air! I just wanted air." Socrates replied, "When you want wisdom with the same intensity you wanted air, you will find it." The same applies to prosperity. You don't need to suffer for it, but you need to truly want it, with clarity, with intention, with emotional focus, not as fantasy, but as decision. And that decision expresses itself through your vibration. People who truly prosper have 3 vibrational traits. 1. Intense desire without desperation. 2. Detachment from the need to prove anything. 3. Action aligned with the vibration of the future, not the fear of the past. Together, these three forces create energetic momentum. Momentum is when life begins to accelerate in the right direction. But there is one element that blocks momentum: emotional attachments. Attachments are old identities, memories, wounds, beliefs, and traumas that continue vibrating in your system. They are invisible ropes pulling you back into older versions of yourself. You want to grow, but vibrate guilt. You want abundance, but vibrate fear. You want clarity, but vibrate confusion. You want to prosper, but vibrate shame. You want a new life, but vibrate childhood pain. And as long as these attachments remain, there is no energetic space for the new. You cannot receive abundance in an emotional system full of accumulated scarcity. First you clear, then you receive. Letting go of attachments doesn't mean forgetting the past, it means stopping the vibration toward it. And when you begin freeing yourself emotionally, something magical happens: synchronicity. Synchronicity is not coincidence. It is vibrational alignment. You begin to be in the right place at the right time. You meet people who seem like answers. Opportunities arise with ease. Solutions appear effortlessly. The more aligned you are, the more life collaborates with you. In this state, you begin to experience elevated emotions such as spontaneous gratitude, peace without a reason, sudden inspiration, a sense of possibility, sharper intuition, the feeling of being guided. Some people describe this as being high on vibration. It's not euphoria, it's clarity, it's lightness, it's presence, it's alignment. But to live in this state consistently, you must develop intentionality. Life responds to your intention. Everything begins the moment you deliberately choose what to think, feel, and pursue. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." It's not just a pretty quote, it's vibrational physics. If you vibrate "I can't," reality organizes itself to confirm that vibration. If you vibrate "I can," reality finds paths to confirm it. And that leads us to another essential point. Your income will not exceed your level of personal development for very long. This is why people who receive a lot of money without having a solid identity lose everything. Their inner vibration cannot sustain their outer vibration. Likewise, if you divided all the money in the world equally among everyone, in a short time it would flow back into the same pockets. Because money doesn't organize itself according to justice, it organizes itself according to vibrational identity. Those who are vibrationally millionaires attract and sustain. Those who are not, lose. And all of this brings us to the conclusion of this section. You live the emotional cycle you feed. Happy people find more reasons to be happy. Sad people find more reasons to be sad. Secure people experience security. Insecure people experience insecurity. The subconscious always seeks coherence. That's why when you say, "I can't," the universe agrees. But if you say, "I just haven't done it yet," you open vibrational space to evolve, because "not yet" recognizes potential. It recognizes movement. It recognizes possibility. And every transformation begins with possibility. In the end, success is not something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming compatible with it. Your thoughts create your vibration. Your vibration creates your field. Your field creates your reality. This is why your mental attitude is not a detail. It is destiny. And that is why this journey ends with the most powerful reminder of all. See yourself at the top. The bottom is way too crowded. Think big, vibrate big, speak big, feel big, act big, because what you think repeatedly, feel deeply, and vibrate consistently, you inevitably attract. You don't become great all at once. You become great silently, internally, vibrationally, until the entire world has no choice but to recognize it. Before you leave, take a moment to breathe and remember this. Your future isn't waiting for you out there. It's waiting for you inside of you. If this message hit you, don't ignore it. Your intuition is speaking to you right now. Rewatch this video with a notebook. Write down the moments that moved you. Ask yourself the questions you've avoided. Let your inner world guide your next steps, not fear, not scarcity, not old programming. And if you want to keep expanding your self-awareness, your vibration, and your relationship with abundance, watch next. Everything you need to attract abundance is already in you. It's the perfect continuation of what you just unlocked here. And if this video added value to your life, consider subscribing, not for me, but for you. Because feeding your mind with the right ideas isn't motivation, it's self-respect. Your new life starts when your inner world changes, and that journey continues in the next video.